Alright, so you three have come back from your trip.
We need the intro, Matt.
I don't have an intro. We cut the intro in.
We named it something the last time we did it.
Cold open.
There we go.
Striker, what did we call this?
Cast?
The Strike Cast.
Yeah.
Episode 2, the boys come back from war.
Yeah.
There we go, that's the intro.
So last time we didn't have the boys. Last time we just had Mr. Linder. So who is everybody?
Pops.
Okay.
Matt.
Dan?
There we go. All right. We're
All
all
my friends call me
Simple.
mom for some reason.
How do you guys know each other?
This dude wrote me into it.
Yeah, this dude wrote me into it.
So it's just a long list.
We met because he shot me.
Okay.
No, I mean, shoot. I met Pops. I met all of you guys at the same time at Mini 5.
Yeah.
Which honestly
Okay.
wasn't that long ago. And I got a cold call from Mike Santora after whoever was supposed to be the Cobra commander just dropped out of the event. I didn't have an event ticket or anything. And he was like, "Do you want to come to this event? We need a leader." And I was like, "Okay, how many people are we leading?" And he was like, 40. And I was like, "Oh." I guess. Who are you again? So, yeah, we had a great time. I loved that event. And plugged in with you guys. Working with Pops was amazing. And we all live close enough to each other, especially me and Pops, that our home fields is the same, so we get to play together all the time. And I didn't really know you, Linder, really at all.
Until this event.
Until this
event
adventure,
was like,
which was really fun.
yeah. We learned a lot in the what is it? The Taj Mahal.
Taj Mahal.
Yeah, that's another story.
So this is the second podcast of this series, where in the first one we talked to Linder before he left about his anticipation of the event. Alright, so before you leave Linder, what is before you leave Linder's message? And then we'll get after you've come back, Linder.
Folks, be careful what you wish for.
So this for Pops, like what is this event that you've gone to?
Well, before I tell you what it is, let me tell you what it's not.
Okay.
First of
That's a
all,
good way to describe it.
it's 1944. It's put on by Mars. It's the Gothic line.
Mm-hmm.
What this event is not is it's not a reenactment and it's not an airsoft event. They're still trying to find their identity as what this is. We were all talking about it, and the best way I can say is that this is an immersion that replicates the life of a GI on the Gothic line in Italy in 1944.
And surprise, it sucks. It's a good event. It's a good event. The experience for the GIs was very unfortunate.
There's no
it was replicated very well.
Yeah, no over understatement there. It replicates the life of a GI. It's not a good life, but it's a life.
So they've achieved their stated goal of trying to take what was happening in 1944 and then essentially give it to you guys and allow you to experience it.
Yes.
Now, what I
dunked it.
They read that at the beginning. They have the very first thing before the rules brief is the Mars mission statement. I won't go over it verbatim. It's basically that. They nail it. What they set out to do, 100% and more accomplished.
It's
If you want to know what the event is and what they're about, that mission statement is 100% what it is.
yes.
Was it what you expected? And how is it different from your typical airsoft event?
So, was it what I expected? No. It was really funny to me watching your first video because I didn't watch that till we got back. you had a much better idea of what we were actually getting into than I did. They were like,
no idea.
bring a shovel and 4 blankets. And I was like, okay, I'm going to have to dig a hole and it's going to be really cold. Turns out I dug a lot of holes and it was extremely cold. But I had no idea. I kind of intentionally set my expectations at nothing.
Yeah.
Because I was like, if I can get to shoot one guy in a German uniform, I'm going to be happy. I don't really care. I'm going in blind. It blew me away. I loved it. As for what it actually was, I did assume, obviously we have an assumption. I assumed we were going to set up our campsite and they were going to set up their campsite and we were going to generally know where each other were and we were going to go fight during the day and then we were going to go back to our campsites and go to bed, right? No. Your campsite is the hole that you dig. Whether it have straight edge or slant edge and be small or large. And that's your house. And if your lieutenant says, thou shalt dig, thou shalt dig. Which is another thing, airsoft doesn't have that. Like, if at a mini Milsim event, if I told somebody to dig a hole, they would probably dump a water bottle on me or something. They would laugh at me. They would be like, I'm not digging a hole. This is crazy. This event, it was like, you're going to dig this hole or we're all going to die. Yeah. It's critical that all of you grunts dig your holes when you're told. And it was a rolling campsite, hiking. We were constantly packing and unpacking, and then we would dig our holes and set them up. And in the morning, the first thing you do is you get up and you repack all of your stuff so that you could go. And then they do, a typical day looked like, get up in the morning, breakfast rolls in on a Jeep, hot breakfast, before the sun's even up. Recon teams go out from various positions to scout. We do an attack. We'd pack our stuff around lunchtime, and then we'd go attack in the afternoon and change position. And then we'd dig in and go to bed. Mm-hmm. That was what a typical day looked like. And it was there isn't really a single word that summarizes that. I guess you could say milsim, but it's not the milsim that word conjures from the context we're used to.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, y'all's turn to answer the question.
Could you restate the question?
Yeah, I was going to say that anyway.
Okay.
So, how is it different than what you expected, and how is it different from an airsoft event?
So, I didn't expect anything. I had no idea. I knew that it was going to suck. Mm-hmm. I knew that it was going to be very tough. I knew that there was going to be very period correct people there. Just like Daniel, I thought it was going to be, we're going to set up camp. They're going to set up camp. Those are the alpha alphas. Then maybe we establish an FOB or something like that, and then we'll meet somewhere in the middle. We'll fight over some shitty terrain, and it'll be great. Sorely mistaken. Not an airsoft event by any means. Airsoft, and just as they state, it's like once you've been there, you understand. You'll read the document again and be like, oh my god, I get it now.
They did tell me.
Yeah, it's like they said it right there, but it's just like you don't. It's hard to interpret without being there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was not that. Just like Daniel said, we were moving every day. We had recon in the morning, that kind of thing. He's spot on with the daily schedule. Shout out to my boy Tom for some bussin' cooking.
Yeah.
And kept our boys going. Some coffee flavored water, perhaps. And oats. But yeah, so I did not expect it. It was very realistic. Just like Daniel said, like, you are told, just as a grunt, and the command structure, which I'll probably touch on later, by far better than any airsoft command cadre command structure ever. These, dare I say, are professionals for command. When we assaulted positions,
were, right? Actually,
no,
Except for
not
Frank?
not lieutenant.
Okay. Anyway.
Yeah, because I talked to him after. He's like, yeah, just some dude.
Yeah.
And I'm like, could have fooled me. He did. But yeah, it was incredible. So when we fought, it was meaningful. We counted casualties. We have casualty reports and everything like that. Not what I expected, in short. It really sucked. It was I'm glad I went. It was a great event. Maybe go back, maybe not. I'm just saying, it sucks to be a GI. Poison ivy, mainly. Did not expect that. Didn't even think about that. But even then, made it through. It was all right.
We'll come back to that notion, but Pop's same question. It's like, why is it different than airsoft, and how is it different than what you expected?
It was everything I expected. For what I did before we even got to this event is I was looking at footage from the Gothic line in the real war and what was happening with the GIs up there. And I'm saying, if this is an immersion event, they're going to try to replicate this. So I was expecting attacks at night. We weren't. You guys weren't.
We were briefed.
Yeah, we were briefed, but however, you saying, oh, we're just going to get some sleep.
I didn't think they were so bold.
Yes.
So bold on a stomach of soup.
Twigs breaking.
So,
Still.
the thing
makes my heart
is-
race.
The thing is what I got out of this event was all the emotions and feeling the loss of home, especially with the hurricane. We found out we were on the front lines about that. So now you're sitting in pitch black in your foxhole. My foxhole was a shitty foxhole, but it was my foxhole and I was in it. I felt safe there, okay? Thinking about home, can't see nothing 2 feet in front of you because it's so damn dark. And all of a sudden, you know, you lost sleep. You're trying to get some sleep. You can't. You get punch drunk. I got punch drunk. I felt like Joe Biden walking around not knowing what the fuck I was doing. You know. Then as soon as the first shot comes, you know, I snap right out of it. I'm focused. I'm ready to go. And it was everything. It was everything I expected it to be. It taxed my emotions. It taxed my mental state of mind and my physical state of being. I wound up doing things that I thought I wouldn't be able to accomplish because of my age. I found out while I'm getting hurt in my knee, popped the groin, I got hurt there. I just kept on going, got through it, and you know, I couldn't quit. When they put me back on KP, I'm sitting back there, I hated it because I wanted to be up on the front lines with the rest of my guys because that's where I belong.
Can you explain what KP is for those airsofters who've
Yeah.
never experienced such a thing?
I think it stands for kitchen prep.
It's kitchen patrol. Can I jump on the KP thing?
Yeah.
I want to describe Tom's Beast. So they have this stove, and this is the critical component of the entire cooking infrastructure for the U.S. team is a singular point of failure. It's Tom's Beast, and it's a stove that's picture like 4 burners on a gas stove, but they're all these big rectangles and
Powered
all
by
really
gasoline.
clumped together. And so you've got an old World War II jerry can with about a 3-foot rubber hose that comes out of it. It's on a stand, so it's upside down. There's a hole in the lid, and they shove the hose.
Which is designed to leak, by the way.
Yeah, because it's got to let air in so the gas can get out, right? No, the gas just comes out. And that hose goes to the bottom of this stove, which just has like a tin chimney that's sticking straight up in the air and sits on the ground. And then it turns cherry red and burns you 50 times. It's terrifying.
With an open flame.
Yeah,
So
just
you
with
have
an open
dripping
gasoline
gasoline and
flame.
open flame.
And this is out in the field.
Yep.
Yes.
So I was enlisted by the engineering corps when we got there to create the foundation for this beast. So we had to, just like you would like pavers in a backyard or any type of concrete, we went out there with shovels and pickaxe, with our e-tools or whatever, and leveled on the side of the hill, mind you, a perfect area that we had to clear the dry grass from first off, and then level it out with a 1940s wooden level with a bubble that still works, just as good as today, to make this platform. And they said this is the most critical part because if anything happens and this dry grass catches on fire, we cannot outrun the flames. We will all die. Like, this is important.
Okay, I missed that part of it.
No, Tom was like, I don't need to reiterate how important this is. Like, if you guys screw this up, we are all dead.
Yeah, Tom's not a serious man.
That was critical.
So you've got Tom's Beast, and they have these giant tubs, and so it's like, okay, get 3 gallons of canned green beans, dump it in there, put it on the fire. Beans, or baked beans, or eggs, or bacon. They all get cooked in the exact same giant, long, rectangular can that sits on this big burner. And then they cook 2 things for dinner or 2 things for breakfast. They put those on. They might wrap them in insulation and drive them out to your positions where everybody walks in and you get your scoop of each and you eat. And then they get 2 other tubs and they fill them with water. And one of them has soapy water and one of them is regular water. And the thing is glowing cherry hot. And every single person has to dip their dishes into it and sanitize them and scrape them out. And this water is not, it's literally boiling. Mm. It was terrifying.
Yeah.
We did that every day. Oh my God.
Every once in a while you get a break from KP and you actually go shoot the gun.
Right. And
So,
some unlucky guys, 2 of them would usually get cooking duty and 2 of them would usually get cleanup duty and they would go wash all the dishes and stuff.
I didn't think it was so bad. I think it was a nice break.
It's not so bad unless you have a 30-pound thing of coffee trying to break your leg off, like what happened to Pops in the
No,
back.
that was the chopped beef and sausage gravy that was on my knee.
Pops, we all do our service.
Yes, we did.
Let me say that. It was delicious.
It was good, but they wanted to put me back there, so I'm staying away from there. I said, I got hurt there. I want my foxhole.
Was it?
I really liked it, yeah.
Shit on my shingle? Really?
It was,
Yeah,
the gravy was really good.
It was good.
I'm sure at a certain point anything is probably good.
Anything warm.
Anything but beans.
Anything but beans.
We had enough beans.
I have canned beans on the garage floor, never to be touched again. Maybe some salt. I think there's actually some olives left, but
So one of the other things
never.
that we got out of it, which would probably terrify the airsoft community, is you learn to shit in the woods.
Yes.
a humbling experience.
Yes,
That's rough.
very humbling.
That's not fun.
I thought it once you told me to balance the cheek on the tool and do
I was
that.
gonna say since we're on the topic, and this is somewhat of a
This is one of your
historical
questions?
record, please explain the maneuver of taking the shit in the woods.
Really?
Yes.
You lift your helmet out to take your toilet paper out because you always got that thing on you.
Always have your toilet paper and your spoon on you at all times. Thou shalt.
Yes.
And your
Absolutely.
rifle.
Not that
Those are
you're
the only
gonna,
three
not that
things
you're
you
gonna
have to
eat
have.
your poop with your spoon, but
In case you might
that you're
need
gonna
to eat
scoop it out.
something. Yeah.
no, when you go, we have a little
They had two different
hole dug,
ways
two different ways of doing
that
it.
we would go.
That was
We
back
got
in the time.
latrine duty. We were
Yeah.
the only people who dug any latrines.
Yes, we were.
Yes, but let me say this for the record. We dug a latrine with our CO, okay?
That's true.
Zach.
We did.
To be fair.
We did.
Okay.
That's fair.
So I cannot say anything. That was command
Because
was
we were-
putting in the work.
Yep. We showed up early as a work party, and they put us to work.
Yeah.
Shame on us for volunteering.
we didn't volunteer. We were the only ones there.
Yeah.
So
But
That is my next set of questions. To keep this moving along. Is how was the arrival and how was the first night?
So, arrival, you'd arrive in whatever vehicle to Kansas. For us, was a long drive, so we left a couple days early. We got there early for a work party, but any regular Joe would show up either Saturday or Sunday. They prefer Saturday. So you show up Saturday, you bring out all your kit, you lay it out. Robert, right? Does the
Robert
inspection.
Craze, the
Yep.
scariest New York, was he New York or New Jersey Italian?
He's going to kill me if I get it wrong, so I'm going to abstain.
I'm
from
pretty
that.
sure it was New Jersey because we were talking about what city our families were from.
is that really important?
But anyways, he's an expert, and he checks over all of the gear that's laid out. And he is sergeant, not sir.
Yes.
I finally learned
He's a
that.
staff sergeant, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So he does the check-in. Mars keeps a record of everybody and your equipment. So if they have 3 tags: green, yellow, red. So if you have a green tag, good to go. Yellow, I think, is 1 year for replacement. 2 years for replacement, and then red is 1 year for replacement. And if it's egregious, like a modern sleeping bag, you're just not allowed to use it.
Right.
So he does all the check-in. He'll give you any notes, any tags, anything like
I gotta
that.
articulate. This guy walks in a crisp Class A uniform. He looks like he just got out of a class in West Point. He's
Yeah.
the best, most well-dressed guy there, and he literally gets out of his car, clipboard in hand, ready to grade, and he's like, "Dump out your bag." And yeah, I was the first guy who got judged because we ran the chrono, and he walks up to me, and he's like a foot shorter than me, but I was like, "Yes, sir." And he was like, "I'm not a sir."
The entire event was that. Eventually, I think eventually I got it, but yeah, that was.
When I to interject my own thing, we'll cut this. When I went to Leadership Academy to train with the Marines, luckily I was in the B section because my last name is Boyle, so I
Right.
got to watch the A's go first. So when they were, it's literally the same exact process. You
Yeah.
come with your bag, they make you dump it on the floor, they give you shirts that you have to have.
Right.
And I got to watch the 3 people in front of me get screamed at because they either called them sir or ma'am. I am a fucking chief petty officer, and you will call me that because I heard this rank. And I was like, all right, so I'm ready now. So I get up there, I'm like, chief petty officer. She's like, damn right. I'm like, yeah.
Nice.
So,
Yeah. So yes, Robert does the check-in. The check-in for gear and everything.
And he was only intimidated because we didn't know him. Once we got to know him, he's just kind of a nice, funny guy. He'll sing you a tune if you ask.
Yeah. D-Day
Nice guy.
Dodgers on
Yep.
Spotify, still listening to it.
Yep.
So yeah, and then you go to Chrono. You fill all of your mags there at Chrono too once you chronographed.
Yeah, once you chrono, they issue you all your ammo. So you
Yep.
get full combat load, you load all your mags, you got a grenade, you get your bandage, you get your red medical card, you
Yep.
got everything you needed to go fight, right?
Which I don't think you've touched on yet. this isn't like a normal airsoft event where you bring your own provisions. You
No.
basically show up and you are provided.
Yeah,
Yep.
they will technically issue you all of your ammo, all of your pyro, all your medical supplies, and all your food and water.
Yeah.
Which
All
is-
of that is issued
But
equipment.
just to be on the safe side, I don't trust supply lines, so I made sure I had provisional food to share with these guys.
Unfortunately, that included beans.
It did include
Yes.
beans. I was glad to have the beans. To be
The
fair.
beans was
But
one of the first things I ate Young poor me, so innocent in my first foxhole ever, cracking open a fresh can of beans, sorely mistaken, absolutely annihilated my GI, and just like, it was terrible. The next day, Daniel's like, bro, what the fuck is that smell? Like, what did we,
that
did
was
we hit
not
something?
you. That was not you, I
I'm
swear.
certain.
That tree was rotten. That was not you.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah. So thank you for. They issue you rations, right? So you get your C rations as well, which are these gold cans, some of which do contain beans, others ravioli.
Delicious.
For you lucky ones, ravioli, and then of course your can of Spam, which if you eat it in its entirety,
oh my gosh,
it just feels like a brick.
Yeah,
but it is
a lot of
protein.
calories.
It's
I still got my can of Spam.
I ate mine like one of the first couple days because I'm like, this is a low calorie, all carb option. I don't know if I split my first one.
You split yours with me. You ate like half of it, and you were like, "You can't eat any more."
All right, I was about to say that sounds about right. Yeah.
And then like right at the end of the entire thing, I ate my entire one. I found it, and I was just like,
yeah, dude, literally, no one on the line could finish their can of Spam. Even Noah's like, "You guys want this?" I'm like, dude, I don't know if I can. Like that's like a challenge. But yeah, all that's issued. Hot meals twice a day for the Allied forces. Funny enough, and I don't know if we should go into this now, but the Axis forces, as historically accurate, this is how dedicated to realism Mars Events is. They starve the Axis.
Yep.
1 meal a day compared to R2, and it was soup and bread.
yeah.
Because their supply lines were not sufficient. They could not
we got
bring
hot
their food up.
and a can or two of food a day. So we had plenty of food.
Very well fed.
We were never hungry. The food was all canned food, but it was there, right?
Yeah.
They got one scratch-made thing of soup and some fresh bread.
So they tried
apples,
to
if
attack
they had
us.
a good apple harvest on the farm this year.
And
they did not have.
And rations Hunter gave them to hold on to.
Yeah, they all got what they call them, the iron ration.
Yes. However,
To be eaten when ordered.
to be eaten when ordered.
That order never comes.
Yeah, to my knowledge, was never issued. So this was, I think, more of an experiment.
No, straight up, they asked. They were like, if you have your iron ration, hold it up in the air. And like half of the guys were like, I still got it. And half of them were like, yeah,
I was hungry, Hunter.
Did you eat any of the iron rations we got?
What we got?
The Canadians captured a bunch of them, and they were giving bites. Dude, they were good.
I didn't get any, no.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
How was your first night in the foxhole? What's running through your head? How was the experience?
So you can't really understand our first night in a foxhole unless you understand the first combat encounter we had. And so Sunday afternoon at 5 o'clock, we had our sand table briefing. And right as the briefing started, our sergeant yelled at me because I didn't have my rifle. So I booked it back to my foxhole and I got my ammo belt and my rifle. Thank God I did. So I run back to the briefing, listen to the briefing for about 20 minutes, and then they say, okay, break, go to your foxholes, have a good night. And as soon as the first guy gets back to the line, he sees some guys and he says hello, and they go, hello! There are Germans in our foxholes. They're not in them because they hadn't found them yet. They were very well camouflaged, but they are on our positions looking for us. So we all flow out of battalion, and about half of us are armed, about half of us left our guns behind. So we immediately took contact, literally as soon as the game officially started, in contact. Which is kind of what I thought it was going to be the whole time. I actually really did not expect them to attack us 10 feet out of our safe zone. So that first night, once we beat off that first wave, I was like, okay, it's been an hour. They've all respawned. That's how long it takes to respawn. It's roughly an hour and 10 minutes plus the walk time. They could come at any time. And it's completely dark. And I've already, I lost my glove. That was a common joke. Every night when somebody dropped a glove, I was like, damn it, I know it's within 2 feet of me, but I can't find it. And so I had put my ammo belt and my gun and my grenades in a very specific place so that in the dark, I could just sit up and grab them. That first night, actually, I was so anxious about the darkness because we were in a thin tree line and we could see the sunlight through it as the day started to fade. So I knew the open area where the Germans could come from, they could get within 40 feet of us and we wouldn't hear them before they hit those trees. And then we would really hear them, but there's no way to shoot through those trees at dark. And so it is pitch dark because there was no moon that night. The moon set before the sun went down. Mm-hmm. And I was just sitting there. I couldn't get comfortable at night until I was literally cradling my gun in my arms before I could fall asleep. And even then, any noise whatsoever, it didn't matter if it was him coughing or Pops turning over 3 foxholes down, I was awake, going, there's somebody out there. And
Yeah, it was brutal. The first night in the foxhole was our second night on the AO.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just go into the second night. So to go off of that, yeah, we dug the first version of the Taj Mahal. That first night, digging in like clay and silt, like rock, not silt, sorry, clay and like rock. This was not easy to dig out.
Yeah.
So it was a mixture of digging that out, using the backfill and the stick. So we have our foxhole. It's good enough. You're able to prepare your fire lines during the day so that at night you have a kind of good idea of what's around you. Just like Daniel, I lay out key equipment, like extra magazines I might need for the BAR. Smoked my first cigar out there, covering it in the foxhole and that kind of thing, which I only got halfway through because at night I took the first watch. And there's Germans out there. There's also animals out there. So it's like distinguishing what is what. So we'd hear like a crunch and dead quiet night in the middle of the night. Again, pitch black where you can't see 10 feet in front of you. So even if there was a German there, no way to know. No way to find them.
Right.
So excellent cover on both sides. And I smoking my cigar and I hear one footstep. I'm like, did you hear that? It's like, yeah, like, or whatever.
Okay, we both did distinctly hear footsteps that first night.
So, like,
about that.
20 minutes later, we hear a series of 3 footsteps. Yeah, very softly, very quietly, and I'm convinced there's a cheeky Italian or German in that wood line that's just slowly crawling through because they already attacked us that night by surprise, just to screw up our sleep. Probably not to actually engage us, but just to screw up all of our sleep schedules for the entire night.
Yep.
And I hear that, and I'm like, Daniel, is that contact 12? He's like, that's contact 12. And sure as shit, like, I'm like, what? Like, eyes dilated to the max, trying to see anything in this pitch black screen that we've seen for 12 hours during the day, but at night cannot recognize it. And I'm like, with my BAR, like, looking over our foxhole, I'm like, even if I could, like, point out where they are, I would have I don't know if I should shoot or not. Should you even take the shot if you think that, like, if you say, like, oh, they're somewhere that direction, you don't have a distance. And it's BB Wars too, so it's like, I had a pin issue with my bar. I'm like, am I going to be able to hit that shot, even if I'm able to pinpoint where I think the sound is coming from? It was like a possum. It was not.
Yeah.
It was not a German or
Eventually,
Italian.
we got used to the difference between footsteps and animals. But it took us like 4 or 5 days almost to really learn that difference.
Even at our last foxhole position, it was like, is it a woodpecker or is it an MG42? Because they have the same fire rate.
They have the exact same
same pattern.
That was very funny, actually.
So that was.
Yeah. So what was your first night like in the foxholes, Pop?
Well, the first night in the foxhole for me, I felt all the emotions. I felt fear, I felt excitement, adrenaline moving, can't see shit, it's pitch black. I heard the same things those guys heard. You can't do anything about it because it's so dark that you can't distinguish anything. It's like as if they laid a black blanket down in front of your face.
Yep.
And even when I left the foxhole at times to go back, and I come up, to take my break, and they send me back up to the front. The opening the path that we'd get down, I can't find it. Can't see it. And I get lost. And being sleep deprived, you're only getting 2 to 3 hours of sleep a night. You get punch drunk. And at that point, it's hard to focus because you're just trying to figure out where you are. So you finally make it back after making a ton of noise, and it's amazing that I didn't get shot by my own guys. It's at least just to shut me up. But when you get in there and you finally get back, you feel safe. You know, I didn't have a really good foxhole. It was shallow because of just digging through the trenching tool. It just wears you out, and I was tired to begin with. So I just, while it was daylight, I reinforced my foxhole with down branches and trees and logs and put it all up and put foliage in front of it to make it look like a natural part of the forest. And that seemed to work pretty well. But when the action started and the firing started, I couldn't even shoot because I had no idea to see who I was shooting at. And I sure didn't want to shoot one of my guys.
Yeah.
So I just waited, and if somebody came in from the close, and I could see movement and I know they're coming my direction, yeah, I was going to plug them. But up until that point, I just kept my head down, be perfectly quiet, and just listened. But all my emotions were touched. And that's part of the immersion.
Yeah.
And so it was exciting and scary at the same time. So.
What was your favorite or most memorable or most unique combat experience of the event specifically?
Trust Battalion!
Piss alert!
Yes. So, one, I have an expression that's trust battalion. We'll get into that later.
Yeah.
It's true.
It was
They
the
know what they're
2x4
doing.
he smacked me with every time I got too excited.
And it worked. But yeah, my most memorable combat experience, actually feel pretty good about this. Saved some lives, I
Sure
think.
did.
Alerted an entire Canadian platoon, which is really just a squad. And when we got some Germans, some very bad, mean Germans off the line. So this is the last day of the event.
Mm-hmm.
This is like the best day, because you're...
They did say for the last day that if either team was completely eliminated, the event was immediately over, the other team won.
I've heard that was true. I've heard from someone that said from the highest authority that was not the case.
Oh,
but
really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was kind of the
That's
impression
what we were
had.
told. We were like,
Right.
if you really swipe the Shermans good, you're good. But whatever. So this is the morning. I wake up out of my beautiful foxhole, sores all on my body from
Yeah.
sleeping in a dirt hole for a week,
Taj Mahal was
covered in poison ivy. But it's okay because today we get out of here. So go get. He stays on the line. And I get his tin, his canteen, and the canteen cups. So I go get us KP. So I got, we got the meal, spam and something,
Eggs.
per usual, spam and eggs, classic, and coffee, which is just brown water. It's not coffee. And I'm there. I'm like, man, I really got to take a leak. And I saw some Canadians doing this earlier. Instead of going to the wood line, they just face away from the line and take a piss. So.
Yeah, we had an open hayfield on a rise behind us for 300 feet.
We're looking at a wood line, which is where the line
I'm
is.
sorry, you grabbed breakfast for yourself.
Well, he brought
and
me
your
our food
battle
first.
buddies, and then
Yeah.
you took a piss.
Yeah.
Is this before or after you finished bringing the breakfast?
I have it in my hand.
Okay.
I just had to piss, so I was
Alright.
going to do that before I
Alright.
get back in my hole. Behind us, we're looking at the field that we previously crossed, which is it is to the peak, maybe 100 yards, about 300 feet. So I'm about 100 feet up it, so I got about 200 feet left. And I started taking my piss. This is the morning, I mean, come on.
Yeah,
So
it's pre-dawn.
it's
Okay.
it's super early. Chow gets in on the Jeep and everyone starts oh, that beautiful noise of the Jeep coming over the hill. It's
Yeah.
like Chow is near. So I start taking my leak. I'm about 3/4 of the way through before I hear contact. And these Germans they've got grenades, they're everything, and I'm looking here, which I am, taking my piss. They're on my left, and I'm like, okay. So as soon as I hear that, I'm like, oh shit, I gotta finish, but you can't just stop, right? So I'm mortified, looking around, having to do this. And then I see a grenade goes off, maybe 60 feet away from me on the side, and then I'm like, okay, all right, we're closing shop. It's over. And while I'm doing that, I see a squad of Germans, or what was it? Were they
Italians.
Germans or
It
Italians?
was a combo
Italians.
Italian SS unit, I think. No,
So,
it wasn't an SS unit. It was
Bad guys
Yeah.
here to do us an injustice come up over the hill on the line behind us, and I scream contact rear and run back to my foxhole. The
So-
Canadians hear that.
Yeah, and the Canadians They boil out of their positions. They're all half undressed. It's that early in the morning. Half of them don't even have shoes on. And they all just sprint up the hill at the Italians at full speed.
Yeah. And because of my piss alert contact rear, because I was the only one looking that way, because I guess the first assault or distraction was so that that unit could get behind us.
Yep.
And there's no cover between them and our foxholes. We're all looking forward, except for me. I was taking my tactical piss on the hill. And yeah, because of that, we ended up okay. Our squad leader, Pete, God bless the man.
Yeah.
He was the CO for a little bit. Because all of our command was killed in that attack.
That was the most well-organized German attack of the entire time.
It was extremely effective.
They hit us looking at the direction of the line. They hit us on the far right, which was your left while you were peeing.
Yep.
And they fragged one of our machine gun nests.
Yeah.
And then they were going to grab that gun and turn it and use it, but they got like scared because there was somebody nearby who took some pop shots at them, so they didn't advance. So that distraction didn't go off like it was supposed to. But
that is the only machine gun on the Allied side at that time.
Yes.
That is the only machine gun.
Right.
Nope, one of them went
One
down
of
the
them
day
went down
before.
home.
I
Yeah.
wasn't aware of that.
So that was our only MG.
Right. So they take out our 1919, which is a significant portion of our firepower. And then the Italians appear on the hill, and you see him, and you come running back. And I'm in the foxhole. I see him running back. He's like holding his junk. He's like, "They're behind us!" And I'm like, "What?" And the Canadians go tearing off. The Canadians leave the line. There's like one guy who stays behind. An SS unit pops out of the wood line right there, and they get into all of our tents, and they're shooting people in their foxholes. And as that chaos happens, there's a big clump of guys eating by the Jeep still, trying to figure out where to go and what to do. Those guys are all reacting to contact. Somebody had army crawled up the freaking cliff by that position, and they threw a grenade at the Jeep, and they blew those guys. They blew up breakfast. They blew up the Jeep. They killed every single officer we had except for our squad's single lowly sergeant, who was where he was supposed to be. It was chaos. I mean, they wiped out 2/3 of the Allies.
Yeah.
And
It was just...
the dudes who were on the hill, they came down the hill with fixed bayonets. They were literally stabbing people. It was crazy. You got stabbed, right?
Yes, I got bayoneted. I got bayoneted.
It was insane.
They wound up after they blew up the Jeep. I was about 25 feet away from that in a bush, because when contact came, I was smart. I had my rifle with me.
Yep.
So I jumped into the bush, and after they blew the Jeep up, everybody was dead. It was me and a medic. That was it. And the enemy was coming down the hill. There was a guy running to the left, and I fired 2 shots and took him out. And then there was 3 guys running down the hill towards us. At that point, I had Mike with me, the lieutenant. At that time, he's a captain now. But he was coming. He was with me, and those 3 guys came down. I fired 3 shots, and each one just went boop, boop, boop. And that was that. And then that's when the guy came behind me and bayoneted me. And then he slid over there. The medic had his pistol. And as he was sliding, the medic pulled his pistol out and shot like that and hit him with 1 shot.
Gee.
It was an amazing, amazing shot. And he goes, "I shot him." It was great. And then he comes over there and he pulls my dead card, and I open it up, and I was a flesh wound, so I was back in the fight. So we're sitting there, and then all of a sudden, here comes a grenade, lands right in our lap. Boom, kills us both. It was our own guy that threw the grenade. No, it was a German. Oh, you blew up a medic and me.
You got friendly fired a lot.
I got shot twice by my own guys. The Germans never killed me. I only died once the whole event, and it was that grenade on the last day. But I got 15 kills. I did get 15 kills.
It's crazy.
So.
All right, you want to go
Amazing.
with your favorite combat experience?
I don't think I'm going to go with my favorite, because my favorite was the one where my gun broke and I heard you screaming, and I ended up with a bunch of grenades from people who were like, "Oh, your gun's not working, have a grenade." So I had like 5 grenades, and I was literally just at the front going, "I'll die first," and I literally bounced a grenade off of a German's helmet. Yay, that was exciting. But the best experience in combat for me was the morning attack we did to get to that position where they attacked us from all those directions and blew us all up, right? We had... The hill behind us went 300 feet up to the crest of the hill, and it went about 600 feet down to the wood line where we had camped the night before. And so they were like, well, we think the Germans are going to set up in that wood line across this field. They know we're coming. They know exactly the direction we're coming from. They have 6 MG-42s. They're going to set up there in the morning, and they're going to schwack us. We're never going to cross this field, right? So they were like, well, we'll just get there at 4:30 a.m. And so they woke us all up. They got us breakfast extra early. They marched every single Allied guy out. They got us spurts in like 3 different staggered skirmish lines, depending on what our specialty was. And then they marched us across this field. And they marched us right up to the crest of the hill, and they just said, sit down. And we sat there for 25 minutes.
I almost fell asleep on my bar. It's freezing. 4:30 is almost
cold.
Peak cold.
Yeah.
Like 40 degrees cold. I'm with my gloves, like, with his scarf that he lent me. So I'm having, like, some warmth on my face, and I'm just, like, slowly going from a crouch position to, like, this position where I'm, like, on my hands and almost, like, face first into the bar, just, like, falling asleep on this skirmish
line.
line.
Look down the line, and everybody's just like,
It sucks. But I'm so glad we did it.
And so, why did we hold there? Was it so the Canadians could get down that road or something?
They were waiting for the sun to rise behind us so that they would illuminate the Germans and we'd have the sun to our advantage.
Okay.
They apparently did not coordinate that very well with the Earth.
Nope.
Because that sunrise did not
come. So then we sit there for a long time, and then they have us move down to the wood line. And we get to the wood line and we stop. And I am expecting all of those machine guns on that wood line to be pre-deployed. You know, I figured, well, they're probably going to dig foxholes and actually sleep out in the open so that they can kill us when they hear us, right? No, they didn't even have a sentry. So we get there, and we are amped for combat, we are ready to go. Each guy has like 4 grenades. This is it. We get there and nothing happens. We get told stop. And I'm like, what do you mean? And then the Canadians, who actually went down the road that goes into the ravine, walk right up to the German camp and engage the entire flipping German army. And so 40 grenades go off in 5 minutes. It's just, that's it. It's back and forth grenades. Machine guns start opening up from the Germans. It's chaos. And it looks like they are really close in the darkness. And we're the closest American squad. And I'm like, I want to go, I want to go, I want to go. Why are they telling us to go? What's going on? Hour and a half later, the sun comes up. I'm standing on top of a 30-foot cliff. I had no idea.
Yeah.
And the German camp is now, we were there, we're shooting down at these Germans that look like they're in all these different little bunkers that they've built down there, like they were playing. That was their beds.
Yeah.
So they're getting out of bed, and we are killing them on top of this ridge. But it was crazy. They were having a terrible time organizing their defense. But that was the lesson. Trust battalion. Battalion always knows.
So I want to go off of that. This is the 3rd time where I've put my life on the line for battalion, where we as an entire skirmish line are marching right into a wood line. For the second time, I feel like I am being asked to walk directly and fall into a German foxhole with an MG-42 pointed at my nuts from 0 feet away.
Yep.
Second time, for the 3rd time total, battalion is correct. They are not in that wood line. Not in that woods. But it is the most terrifying thing. This is terrain that we've never seen before. Besides me looking at Overwatch one time, there's where the meadow ends. We've never seen this terrain. At 4 o'clock in the morning, we're asked to muster to march as a skirmish line into what we believe to be the enemy position at 0 feet away with everybody on the skirmish line, which is a very effective combat line, but terrifying.
Yeah.
And the second thing, on that terrain, when we got there in the morning, we were commanded to stop because, unbeknownst to us until later that afternoon, like 12 hours later, there's a cliff in front of us. If we would have continued walking, we all would have fallen and it would have been a medical emergency. But we had no idea where these German positions were. I thought that the terrain went up, over, and that there was a big hill in front of us, and then it went over, and that the Germans were on this hill with MGs pointed down at us, and that they were throwing grenades way down into this ravine where they thought that we were, but we weren't. Absolutely not the case. The terrain was totally different. We didn't know about the cliff, which is why we couldn't advance. We didn't know that there was not a hill on the other side. There was just tree cover.
Yeah,
their positions were
thick,
down.
You couldn't see anything. Bright daytime, and you'd think there's a whole other hill there, and you can't see it.
Yeah, even during the day, we couldn't make out the terrain.
Yeah.
But at night, when we were on that assault, we had no idea. And that is, I guess, a pretty cool aspect of playing somewhere you've never played before. and trying to make out these positions, because you hear firefights going on between the Italians and the Germans, and I'm like, well, they're trying to come up this way, maybe we can distract them here, and it's like, well, they're not actually up there. They're down in this valley over here, they're in some other position. Just bizarre.
They were never where we thought they were in any of the combats.
Yeah, and it was just kind of shocking to try to analyze that, where they were, and this like terrain that just looks like it's so condensed when it's really vast.
And what was your favorite combat, Pops?
My favorite combat was when, it's hard to say, I enjoyed the whole event, 100%.
Yeah. We didn't have a single minute of combat.
My favorite was, I guess, when they split our squad up. You guys were the assault squad. We were supposed to be the squad that was going to try to draw the enemy out. So I had, it was just me, it was Noah, and I had Sarge, our KP guy, and I think there was another guy besides that. And so our job was to go making a lot of noise through the woods. So we were doing that and talking like it was 12 of us, just making a whole mess of noise, trying to draw the enemy to fire on us as a decoy, so you guys can continue your attack with less people on you if we made ourselves sound like we were a lot larger unit. None of that happened. So then all of a sudden all hell broke loose and all the firing is going on. And we're moving through, and Sarge just has a pistol. I said, hey, Sarge, let me take point. He goes, yeah, that might be a good idea. I said, so I ran up about 30 feet ahead and started walking, and we're still doing our noise stuff. The firing is going. So I said, okay, I see the armored car, and I see one of the Canadians is just perched on the car. I said, okay, boys, it's time to get quiet. So we moved in, and that's when we started firing, and we had to go trying to reinforce. We couldn't get through. We're looking, and I found the 30-foot drop to the creek. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking for a way down because we got to get across that creek. We were told that once we get across it, there's a road, and we're supposed to go up that road. So I found a place. You really can't walk down it. So I sat on my butt and I slid down, and everybody followed right behind me, and we got up and on the other side, and we went up the road, and I'm still on point. We're going up, and as I'm going up the road, I see a lot of activity going on to my right, and we're not firing at them because straight ahead of me there's Germans being medic by a medic. So I waited till he was just about done with him. I fired, killed him, killed the medic. And then we moved up further up the road, and that's when 2 more Germans came down the road, and from my hip, I took the both of them out. So that was kind of like really cool, The one thing I wanted to do is I wanted to have my cigar and kill a German. Almost did it, but I ran out of cigar. So that was good. But we had amassed, let me backtrack a little bit, paying homage to command. They did know. We did have to trust them. We had totally confused the Germans. We took a makeshift unit and came in and actually became something.
Yeah.
With KP guy and I think
it was ready.
Actually, Tom, he was really great.
We had a whole echelon of guys who were supporting us that all came and joined that attack on the distraction element.
We pulled guys out of supply. I think I had actually John with me.
Yeah, John had his Tommy gun or whatever.
The guy's 72 years old. He's just a couple of years older than me. And we went out there and kicked some butt.
In that main fighting force, there was at the last day. It was really cool. We got split up into the assault and the base of fire maneuver element. Pops got split into the base of fire. Myself, Daniel, and most of the guys were in the maneuver element, and we trekked a mile through the woods because at this point, MG42s have taken 2 days to dig into these fixed positions.
They were digging good.
And we had done recon the day before and hit them from a bunch of different angles, and our recon attacks got chewed up.
Yeah, They were widely unsuccessful, except for apparently ours.
We were the only people who took.
We took like a PFW. We also took a lot of fire. That was the only time I
died for that prisoner.
The platoon sergeant resed me. So
yay! Shout out to Tran.
Absolutely. But yeah, so it was really cool. So we trusted Battalion ordered us, found a route, just scouted out like land map and shit, went around all of that, and we attacked them from behind. It was an overwhelming Allied victory, and that was the end of the event. That was when Index was called.
Yep.
Which they told me in the beginning, the sweetest words you will ever hear on that property is Index.
Yeah.
Boy, did that. I literally like, Index! It was like, it was...
Confirm I was there.
Yeah, it was amazing.
I just want to put a note in that. The Mars always says that there's really no winner.
Yeah, everybody on the
That-
farm is a loser.
They said, no.
That they do say that.
That's the
Boy, are they
joke.
right.
But
Yeah, it is a joke. But your victory is your personal interaction with the enemy.
yep.
They don't have a point schedule to say, well, the Germans won or the thing is.
Yeah.
But they're kind of quiet about it, that we actually did what we had to do 2 days early. So that was, I give total respect to our command staff
Yeah.
and all the soldiers that I had a chance to sit and fight with and meet. At the end of the event, we all, Germans and Americans, were in open field. And we all got a chance to talk to each other about the same battles that we were fighting. When they were telling us how they were doing it, we were telling them what we were doing. And it was amazing. It was just totally amazing. And I told Daniel about an hour after we were done, I'm ready to go back out there and play. I was ready to go
crazy.
back for another week.
Actually crazy.
Right there and then.
The first one, which is the most important question I feel that's left, is the players that were at this event. And in no particular order, just as a conversation between the three of you, how was the experience of playing with these people?
Can we
versus-
speak highly enough about these guys?
I would
Yeah,
like
I
to.
think
I would
so.
like to open it up.
Yeah, go for
All
it.
right.
All right. We do airsoft events. We've done all that stuff.
Yeah.
At this event, there was not one argument. No, I didn't hear, call you hit. I didn't hear any of that. You shot somebody, they got hit, they went down.
Yeah.
It was the most professional, the most accurate, the most immersive event that you could ever experience. The respect was there. It made no difference what uniform you were wearing. The
Right.
respect crossed the lines. I mean, it's what everybody should aspire to do, even in airsoft.
Yeah.
If there's a lesson to be learned, this event teaches that lesson. I said before we went that we'd all come back different players, and we did. I know I
Absolutely.
did.
I will say the caliber of player at that event, I say player, this is not an airsoft event. Half of these people aren't, or maybe even more,
Yeah,
aren't
not-
airsoft.
not
About a
airsofters.
third of the German team had never fired an airsoft gun
Yeah.
before.
Like, these are not airsofters.
See, here's how it works. It's part immersion, part airsoft, part reenactment. But it's not a reenactor event. It's not an airsoft event. They only use airsoft to define the battle.
And they have this Venn diagram with Mormons and furries and whatever, but in the middle, that's where we find it attracts all of these different groups.
Yeah.
Not the reenactors, the airsofters.
Yeah.
You're going to have to find that
In,
Venn diagram.
and airsoft is a medium of combat, that's it. But
That
these players are, again, I don't even know if I call them players or not, but the most honorable people. Like, I do a lot for just
Yeah.
about anybody out on that field.
Yeah.
It didn't matter
Hunter
what
said-
uniform.
Hunter said repeatedly, this is a community event. We are a community. And at the end of it all, we had everybody there, and we all sat down together in the grass in the sun, and we all took pictures and everything. And then Hunter got up there with his notebook, and he said, we're going to talk about the cons. And he just went around, and anybody could say anything they wanted that they had a negative experience with. He did that for like 15 minutes.
Which is very
And it
bold
was-
after forcing people to sleep in dirt for a week.
Yeah, feeding them one meal, and it was great. Nobody was mad. There was no nitpicking. There was a lot of compliments. And then he went, "Okay, we're done with cons. We're gonna do pros. What have we done good that we can do better?" And it was. I've never seen a feedback session like that in my life for anything, let alone airsoft. It was incredible.
Yeah,
And-
because it's fresh after that. I mean, this is
Yeah.
literally right after Index. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, everybody, sit your ass down. We're going over everything. If you speak your piece, is essentially what it is.
Every single person who is there is maximally invested the entire time.
Yeah.
And that's the key difference between airsoft or anything you do for fun. These guys, this is the peak. They are there to do it.
Yeah, because you invest everything in your kit and your person, and you go out there and you are living that experience. That experience involves being shot. It really doesn't make a difference. Like, it doesn't matter if you get shot, you don't get shot, whatever. Like, who cares? You've been sleeping in a dirt hole for a week. Like, like, what the hell is getting shot? Like, if anything, it's like, oh, finally, I can take
I get
a
to go
breather.
lay down at the casualty collection point for an hour. Shoot me.
Yeah. So the caliber of players on both sides, the immersion, there is no, oh, I'm hit. It's like you fall over dead, you scream for medic.
You're screaming,
Yeah.
medic,
Which is really satisfying to hear.
Basically, it was as if we all had our script
Yep.
and we were actors in a movie.
Yeah.
And
But everyone just knew what to do without
just knew what to do.
Yeah.
And it was very rewarding to not have to get into an argument with anybody. And the other thing is we were the new guys coming in. We made a big impact on this field from what everybody's been selling us, that we made our mark, which was good. The thing is they didn't treat us like new guys. They treated us like family because we were part of the community. And that alone made the trip worthwhile. Just that. Because these are lessons that we learned that now we can share. And that's the whole purpose of this, isn't it?
I will say, even going in as just some regular Joes, as privates, they did treat us just like family. It is a community event. The event would not be possible without the community. It is literally the community that puts on the event and supports them, and 100%. I've never been to an event that has not been run for profit. It's been run for community.
Yeah.
That was mind-blowing.
Mm-hmm. And to top it all off, Frank, who's a retired lieutenant colonel,
Frank and Cindy.
him and his wife made the index dinner. At the end of the event, they fed everybody.
Yeah, they made enough food to feed. Honestly, everybody could have eaten their fill twice.
Yeah.
It was enough food for 200 people,
And
then
they
they had
had
an entire trailer full of beer.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding.
And it was just hang out, do whatever you want. Everybody gets to talk.
You can sleep over if you want, or they understood that we had to leave because we didn't know what we were coming back to in Florida.
Right.
And they said, that's fine. And it was,
So gracious.
it was, I'd move to Kansas just to play in this event every year.
That's a bit bold.
It is, but
That's a
we'll
bit
do
bold.
it.
But they do ask that, so when are you moving to Kansas?
I mean, honestly, it's not that bold.
All right.
If you didn't have a solid family, So, Linder, you're coming back next year, right?
Right, so excluding your weapon, we're gonna pick the number 1 and number 2 piece of equipment that you have beyond your weapon. But the trick is we're all gonna say it at the same time. So I'm gonna 1, 2, 3, and you're all gonna say
Does
it.
it
Wait a
include
minute.
like a uniform and boots?
We'll say it has to be something that you use. So
Okay.
it could be like boots.
Like equipment.
Yeah, equipment. So I'm gonna count to 3 and you all are gonna answer at the same time, and we're gonna see how many of you say the same thing. So we're gonna do the first most important piece of equipment after your weapon. You guys ready? 1, 2, 3.
Spoon.
Haversacks. I didn't get a chance to say my second one. We had to say 2, right?
No, just the first one.
yeah.
Oh, okay,
so-
okay.
So we got 2 for spoon, 1 for haversack.
Well, I was
Now, this is very
actually gonna say
surprising
haversack
because-
and spoon.
Okay, so spoon's number 2 for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so why haversack first?
Why am I haversack first? Because I always kept my M43 jacket in there, and I needed that at night. So I made sure I had my haversack at least close by.
Okay, so why spoon first?
I was ingrained by.
Yeah, our supply
Tom.
sergeant grabbed us by the throat, and he's a very large, unserious man, and said, "You will have your spoon."
And so we had our spoon. Turns out you can eat any meal on earth with just a spoon.
You can't eat spaghetti.
You can eat spaghetti with a spoon, I assure you.
We did it multiple times.
Yes, it's a big spoon.
I have my spoon.
You always keep it on you. You never know when you're going to
God,
need it
you're
for your
still
rations.
keeping it on you.
You need it to get coffee. You have to use the spoon to press in the tab so you don't burn your finger when you get the coffee.
Yeah.
You need it to clean stuff. You need it for moral support. Knowing that the spoon is within your grasp brings a great determination to you.
It is vital.
It is.
Okay.
It's a very vital piece.
All right, so now we'll do number 2. Pop's already blew his because we know his is spoon.
Mhm.
So his first came his jacket. So we'll just do the 2 of you.
All right.
We're gonna pick your second most important piece of equipment.
Yep.
Okay, 3, 2, 1.
E-tool.
Alright.
Let's fucking go, man. This is
My e-tool broke on me on like day 4, day 3.
Yeah.
And I had like this crushing moment of panic where I was like, I can't dig a foxhole.
It's like your companion.
My buddy just died. And lucky for me, our platoon sergeant was like, I ain't digging a damn foxhole, you could use mine. And I was like, my shovel. But of all the guys there, I was the guy who ended up most obsessed with digging the perfect foxhole.
You did.
And the same guy who let me to shovel, Platoon Sergeant Tran, told me what a regulation foxhole was, because I didn't know that, which I should have, which is 2 grand lengths long, 1 grand length wide, and then as deep as the situation requires. And that last hole that we dug, Taj Mahal, which you were suffering from poison ivy terribly, and then literally the ground cover was 80% poison ivy. I'm not allergic to poison ivy, so I was like, well, guess I'm digging it alone. So the lieutenant tells me where to dig it, and it was like, go to the hill, right on the slope of the hill, right where it starts to go down, right where that guy with the MG42 with no front sight can see you, right there, dig your hole.
Yeah.
Under fire.
Under fire.
Actively under fire.
Digging my hole on my stomach. I cleared the ground cover, digging my hole on my stomach. Every time I stick my head up, he walks a burst onto me. I never got hit by that guy until he got a different gun with a front sight. But he hit guys walking behind me because the DBs were like perfectly curving over the hill. But I dug a foxhole. How deep was that foxhole?
Probably about 3 feet.
Was it really? No.
It was probably like 2.
Well, behind the wall.
It seemed like you guys went deep into the foxhole.
You
so I
could
was
walk
thinking
up
3
to the
feet.
foxhole and sit down, and the berm of earth protected you from the machine.
Yeah, that had to be
Yeah.
3 feet.
So, and it was big enough for both of us to lay down and on our backs. It was
We
so
learned
nice.
so much about digging foxholes through that week. It was incredible.
I broke 2 shovels.
Yeah.
Did I break a 3rd
You
shovel?
know, it was a machete and a shovel.
And my e-tool. So I
You broke
two-
a full-size shovel?
The first
the
shovel
earth
we
in
dug
Kansas
to
is
retrieve.
unforgiving.
Yeah. And I'm from Florida. I was like, oh, it's going to be fine. I'll just put it in the ground,
Soil.
take a bite.
There's
bah!
soil.
Oh.
Shit lives here. It lives in dirt. No, it lives because it spites the earth. That is why things grow in Kansas.
The ground is so hard there. It was hilarious.
Which makes a great bed. I cannot tell you the joy I received sitting in the car seat. For the first time in the week, my butt was like not in agonizing pain. The earth is so hard. It is just not soft.
The constant struggle was, do I sit on my blanket or do I not freeze to death?
Yes.
Do I sit on my blanket?
You want to be cold or you want to be slightly less uncomfortable? Very slightly. The choice is yours.
Yeah.
Choose wisely.
Oh my gosh. Because we got to that position where we dug that Taj Mahal, we were there for 2 nights. It was the only foxhole we were in for 2 nights. And so I actually got a day where all 4 of my blankets were nice little cushions for me. And I was like, I'm so comfy for the first time. Too bad we're leaving tomorrow.
Yeah, you figured it out. But like when you were going to bed, not so cold. You wake up at like 2, 3 a.m. or if you had fire watch at that time, you'd get to experience peak coldness. By the way, all of our tactical positions were at the bottom of these hills, which are
Every
easily
single
15
one.
degrees colder than the peak. For whatever reason, because it's Kansas.
And the peak is the one they set their thermometers by. For some reason.
Fun.
Alright, so how has this event changed you as an individual? Beyond just as an airsoft player?
I love life now. This is great. Just getting to sit in a chair! Sitting in a chair! It's great. It's like, fuck all these weapons. I don't give a shit. I got a chair. I have a drawer full of spoons. And like, I have a toilet that I can use.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, the toilets.
Like, insane. And showers?
Right?
Can we talk about how underrated showers are?
Not the same pair of pants for the 7th day.
Like my butt was just like, it was like, you couldn't really change underwear too out there, because it's like.
Okay, I will admit, I got to a point where I was just like, screw it. I don't care if they see my butt. I changed my underwear, and that was a good call.
Yeah, you have to. But yes, modern day creature comforts as simple as cushion on a chair, concrete floors. Yeah, I'll take that. That's luxurious. At least nothing's trying to kill you on concrete.
And there's no rocks. on a concrete floor.
It's true. There's no weird, lumpy distortions there to torture your sides. I literally had bruises from sleeping in holes. So just to be out there, the treat was leaving. that was the treat.
What was the question again? Listening to these guys just ramble on.
Sorry,
The question was, how do you feel like this event has changed you as a person, not as an airsoft player?
It gave me a even deeper respect for the military personnel that actually do this for real. Back then, according to today's military, back then that's old school stuff. Harder to accomplish, harder to do stuff. Very few sights were out there. You were using iron sights. The technology for repairing wounded is not the same as it is today. It's heartening. It makes you feel very appreciative, and you understand why they called it the greatest generation, because for 6 days we didn't quit, and regardless of how tired we were, we just kept going. I have the utmost respect for everything. I'm a different person.
I think after a year, I could not come back to normal society and probably ever live in it again. I don't think I'd be able to ever reacclimate back to what we live in today. A year out there in the field, there's just no way. And it's hard because you can't really call outside home. Like we called it home, but one of the things I guess I also experienced is comparing it to real military is a lot of service members get out and it's almost like this guilt of like, thank God I'm not on the line anymore, but also like I left people there. It was really comforting knowing that I didn't leave anybody.
Yeah.
We all left. So it did kind of allude to some of those, I guess, feelings of like, well, at least we're all out of there. The event is over. It's not like this fight that it's like, well, I'm back home, but they still have to be out there, and like having this mixed feelings of like, really love the comforts of modern society, but also like I feel like a duty to be out there. It's like the event is over. Everyone went home. It was just a reenactment.
Yeah, it was just a simulation. We all got to go home at the end. And it's amazing how stressful it was for being a completely safe simulation.
Yeah.
And I know that. I think the biggest difference now is I'm a lot less concerned for people who are doing things that are hard. I'm always somebody who's checking on people, being like, are you good? What are you doing? Do you need anything from me? That kind of thing. It's my natural instinct.
Yeah, I was doing that too.
And we were all taking care of each other, of course.
We did.
It was
We
like,
took care of
oh,
each
I'm
other.
actually watching these people go through like stages of grief as they deal with these various hard things, and they're doing it. You know, I don't have to kick them in the pants to make them get through an 8-hour session of play. You know, It's been 7 days, and the only people who left because they had to for a family emergency. They didn't want to leave.
They didn't want to.
That was incredible to see how many people wanted to be there.
Yeah, we started with like 50 guys on the Allied side and 40 guys on the German side with all the rear echelon troops, and we lost 2 after a week.
Yeah, that was amazing. I expected people to drop out. Like, first time at the event, I know it was all our first time. I don't do Sunday at a TCA event. I don't do Friday, I don't do Sunday. I do Evo 1. And then I go to my hotel, which is why I had to do this event. And on Tuesday, with my poison ivy being really bad, I almost quit. And if they would have let me, I would have. But I got to talk to Frank, and he said, "I'm glad you didn't quit because I really hate quitters." And ever since then, I've aspired to be the person that Frank believes that I am. And I did make it through the event with his help. They were more than gracious. They allowed me to shower with some stuff that got the poison off me temporarily until I got it back later. But I was able to get through the event because of that. And they have everyone there has a no quit mentality. Absolutely everybody on that field. He got an award for no quit.
I did.
Which is pretty cool. Because I made it through the event. I mean, I barely made it through the event, like contemplating my entire life and why I'm here, and everyone's so far away from home. Like, I went through a lot of mental struggle through that event. That was monumental for me. Probably one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. This guy, it was just Tuesday. I'm sure it was tough, but dude, 100% energy at 100 all the time. Digging the Taj Mahal, like, truly above and beyond. Same thing with Pops. I'm like, I have no idea at your age how you're like, we're going to do 7 days, and then you saying you want to go do 7 more, a day after, the day of. Like, it's insane. I'll tell you what it is. It's inspiring, honestly, to see the caliber of people, and to see that no quit is like, man, people really out there doing it. They're really about it.
Yeah, that's it. To say I monitor people, well, it restored my faith that people can actually do hard stuff.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It is grueling work. I mean, it'll drain you physically, mentally, and just. I'm a very particular person. I like my coffee in the morning. I like to doze off in bed. I enjoy the creature comfort. So to be like in a foxhole, granted with the best people in the world, but still out there doing it, it was tough. But I did it, and I'd say probably my biggest takeaway as a person, how it's changed me as a person, is just ask for help. Like it's probably one of the hardest things for me to do is ask for help, but I was able to get through the event because of that help, and the entire community supported everybody.
Yeah.
So having that help, and because you're a private in a squad that's part of the platoon, like it is all one cohesive unit, and in moments like that, we're out there for a week, it is critical, and you feel you are part of that family for a week.
Yeah.
Then the last question and the last statement you guys can round off with is, what do you guys say to everybody who thinks that they might want to go?
Call me.
Call Daniel specifically.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Don't call Mars, call Daniel.
Reach out to Florida. Reach out to me. Reach out to any of us, but reach out to me and Pops. We'll help you find your gear. We'll help you figure out what it's going to be like. We'll answer your questions. We'll get you organized. We'll carpool with you. We want to make it happen. We want more people to go with us.
I actually have a closing statement.
Yeah.
I
Well,
thought
this
about
is the
this.
part, like, people who've lasted this far in the video, they want to know, should I go?
Right.
If you're that interested in it, it's worth it. It's going to cost a lot of money.
Yes. Your
Just
first.
for your kit,
Yeah.
but it's worth it.
Yeah. The sooner you call us, the better, because we can help you find better deals.
Yeah.
Most likely, the people that are interested in this event is they want to see what it feels like. Yes, it'll be expensive your first year out, but if it really pans out for you, it's going to be cheaper for the next year and the year after and the year after, or however long you want to go. The thing is it's a challenge. It's going to be a challenge to your determination. It's going to be a challenge to your mental psyche, your physical attributes. And if you can do it, it's well worth going. If you have an inkling about history, if you want to feel what it was like, this is an event for you. If you don't think you can do it because of your age, but you play airsoft and you give it your all, that was me. I decided to do this and rope these two guys into it. I'm going back, plain and simple. I already told them that, I already committed to it. I'm going back.
I'll say, I think the not the most important demographic, but if you don't think that you should do it, you should do it. To prove to yourself that you can. And you'd be surprised what you can do.
Yeah. And despite what they say and the face Matt's about to make, it is actually really fun.
Yes, it was. It was.
In all honesty, it was a ton of fun. I say that type 2 fun. Type 2 fun.
Type 1, I'll die on this hill.
There were combat moments were type 1 fun, which for those that don't know, type 1 is in the moment having fun. Type 2 fun is sitting around in an AC garage with a Dunkin' Donuts coffee and saying, boy, that was a lot of fun when we did the thing in the sticks in the woods, in the dirt hole. That was fun, you know? Sitting in a cushioned chair. That's type 2 fun.
That's fun.
It was miserable fun. You enjoy even the misery. You still enjoyed it
Yep.
because it's for the experience to see what it was like for those guys who did it for real back at that time period. It's a replication. That's what you are,
Folks, it happened.
Yeah.
and we enjoyed it.
Do you have anybody from the Mars team or players that you want to personally thank?
Every one of them.
Yeah, I'd say
If
everyone.
I knew everybody's name,
Yeah.
I would read it all off. but-
Hunter is amazing. Cal is amazing.
Yes.
Reddy is amazing. Zach is amazing. Frank is amazing. Tran was amazing. Every single person that we interacted with on the
Yeah.
admin side was excellent.
Yeah.
And
All
I
the
do-
targets were
absolutely.
excellent.
I do
Very
wanna-
professional.
I do want to call out one guy that I connected with immediately. His name is John Rigby, Canadian. He's
Rigby
from
was
Liverpool. His great grandmother was Eleanor Rigby. Those of you who are old enough will understand that. He was, I think he was a combat engineer.
Mm-hmm.
He was with the Scottish Highlanders, and after he finished his tour of duty there, he did 12 years with the United States Army. He's a couple of years younger than I am, and we hit it off, and I feel like I've known him for 20 years. We just hit it off really great. So, John, if you're listening, I hope your knee is feeling better, and can't wait to see you again next year, brother. Love you.
I have to kind of say my VIP for the event is definitely Frank. More than because I had to have that shower. I mean,
Yeah.
I had never gotten poison ivy before. I literally covered both arms, my chest, my sides. Through the sweat trickled down on my legs. It was absolutely terrible. Frank took me into his home. Frank and Cindy, they're the owners of the property. They allow us in Mars events to do the event. The best people you'll ever meet in your life. Without him and his hospitality, I don't think I could have gotten through this. Of course, Zach and Hunter, extremely professional. The way that the event was ran was a company on company, force on force training exercise. And it absolutely was run that way. The sand table briefings, from the colonel, top tier. Frank did excellent work on that, just explaining how there were sister companies outside of our control that we were contributing to. All of that and their execution between gathering intel and data. And by the way, they don't talk to each other. So Zach and Hunter are the COs for the Allied and Axis respectively. They don't communicate. Just like they wouldn't in an actual force on force training exercise. So they don't know what the other is going to do. But both of them are extremely professional. The command cadre was just out of this world. A big shout out to everybody on the Mars team. It is an incredible, life-changing event, to say the least. I mean, really just like the quality of admin, staff, whatever, just mind-blowing. Really gives us Stryker as a company something to aspire to and take a lot of those lessons back and try to incorporate it into how we teach the sport and as well as just how we operate on a professional level.
All right.
Very well said.
Yeah. That's pretty much it. You guys want to have anything last words, sign off?
Brother. The oats, brother.
Well,
I'll leave you all with that.
here's how we're going to sign off. Thank you for helping me with my bucket list game.
I serve the Gothic line.
That's it. You do. I do too. And thank you for believing in this.
Oh, I'm so glad we could do it.
Yeah.
Surf the Gothic line.
Yes, that's it.
That's
Yes,
it.
that's it.
Yes, I appreciate it.